Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast, bringing you winners, baby. We hit a winner last week. We were rocking the $100 bill shirt in celebration of Russell Henley taking down last week's Charles Schwab. Shout out to Santos Fuente, who commented for Russell Henley in the comments below, letting us know who was going to win this week and gets a free month to the Model Maniac Patreon. Congratulations to you. Make sure you hit us with who's going to win this week. The first person to do so will join Santos in the Model Maniac Discord alongside me. So do that as you are signing up with DraftKings. Use code FGD to sign up as a first-time depositor over there to help us out. We just, click the likes, hit the subscribes. We saw tons of you watching the show last week. We really appreciate that. Kenny Kim is here with me. Let's get right into this week's Memorial Tournament. Kenny, what's cooking, my brother?
What's up, man? Great win, great call by Henley for you last week. It worked out. For you, great win. Finally got that win for this season. That's great. For me, it was a good week. It was a winning week. I had a couple of each ways. Woodland each way. If you follow me on X, I bet Nico live 60-1 on Thursday, like after the first round. And what I didn't realize with the book that I use is that they still give out 8, 10, 12 places after the first round. They stopped doing that after the second round. So I was able to get Nico for 8 places at 60-1. Got him a little bit of a chop. I think there was 9 guys in the top 8, but so it wasn't crazy since I got both of them. It was a winning week. Cash lineup, the cornerstones, I think, all finished it was 3rd, 4th, 13th, and then Grazerman, the missed cut. That sucked. But if you used my lineup that I gave out, it was another winning lineup for double ups. Won again. I'm right around 60%. I think I'm 12 out of 20 for the year. 12 out of the last 18. I started off pretty slow with 2 losses. So we're looking good, trying to get up to 65, 70% in that. I min cashed the $100 single entry. And Henley was in the game theory lineup that we made online on the show last week. It did that. I had Grazerman too, I think, and so it wasn't that great. I had a couple missed cuts, so it didn't really cash. But overall, good week, a winning week. We take that. Byron gets the outright. It was a solid week for all of us. I'd have to say, really solid play by Henley. 4 straight birdies to finish his round at Colonial when nobody.
Got more bragging to do, though, Kenny. We're not going to Russell Henley just yet.
Okay, so we'll keep bragging.
I had a Ricky Fowler because I forgot to edit all my lineups. My dummy lineup is like one of my best ones I do, and then I kind of build off of that, and forgot to freaking set them. So I had 8 lineups that had all of them had Ricky Fowler, but the other 5 guys cashed for me. So I went all in on that lineup and it cashed. I also had a showdown cash lineup that had Thorbjorn Olesen in round 3 shoot 80 and lose 1.3 points. And that cash lineup still cashed. So we are giving out fantastic plays in the Model Maniac Discord, along with horrible ones that still seem to get you across the line. That was insane to see. I was watching some serious underdog leaderboard things, because I got $250 single entry kind of lineups in there, 3 entry Mayo lineups for, if you make it to the finals, you make $1,500 automatic, and there's only 8 of you up for $5,000 to first in that too. And I got 2 lineups that can make it in, but they're not looking like they're going to do it right now. But I was watching Best Ball, because this is the final week.
Ball, right?
Yeah, it's weekly, and I had a couple guys not show up. Hao Tong Lee being one of them, kind of did the same thing as Thorbjorn Olesen, where you're just watching him 5 under par, and then he just shoots 40 on the back 9. Like he's done this now back to back kind of thing. So tilting. But let's get to Ben Griffin after we get to Russell Henley, who won the tournament in a playoff versus Eric Cole, who I feel gutted for the Cole backers. Usually I'm the Eric Cole backer in this situation because he did nothing wrong. He did not choke that tournament away whatsoever. Russell Henley took it.
He didn't grab him by the horns. That's for sure. I mean,
he didn't lose it.
Even par when you're only up by like a couple strokes in the final round, normally won't get it done.
No, but it was playing well over par. Scores were tough as balls. The course found its teeth. late in the tournament. It was two different venues. Once the wind kind of picked up and dried the course out a little bit, the weekend was tough. So Russell thrives in those conditions. Eric, not the greatest in like super difficult conditions, and yet he still shot 63 on Saturday somehow. So that's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, you made the double on 9. Russell never took it by the horns either for like half the round.
No.
Because he started eagle birdie, and then
95-1 going into the back 9. So he was almost 100-1 going into the back 9. And then, there was literally, I think, 13, 14 golfers within 2 strokes of the lead going into the back. And no one really did anything. Cole just, sort of leveled off. I think he had one bogey, 1 birdie on the back, leveled off, shot even on the back, shot even on the front too, I think. But
Cole had like 4 holes to go and was 3 shots clear of Henley.
Yeah, he was
Henley was just ahead of him in tee time wise, and Henley birdied the final 3 holes to get into a playoff.
Yeah, he was 100.
So like Cole was kind of
100-1.
Yeah, he was
9 holes left. So I mean, the way he finished, nobody else did that. Yeah, no one. I don't think anyone had 3 birdies that was in contention, except people that were trying to chase, like Nico Kane, tried to chase at the very, very end. Luckily, he got me that place.
Ben Griffin. But he did that early. He did that early, though.
He was 5 or 6 strokes back to start the day, And so I was rooting for Henley for you, and I was also rooting for Henley because I bet Cole the last 2 times he played. And if he if he won this, I would have been pissed. Since I bet him the last couple of times, he's gone out there. So I thought Ben did his thing. I thought Ben was really good on the mic. Like when he got onto the mic, I was really shocked at how good he was there. And it wasn't all putter this time. I mean, he did do pretty well with his ball striking and stuff. And maybe he's someone that we take a peek at. Definitely taking a look at him for this week at Memorial. We'll see how popular he gets. But
he was fantastic in the booth. Fantastic.
Really good.
And just to kind of expand on how good he was in the booth, him and Henley showed some emotion when he sunk the putt to get into the playoff. But outside of that, the top of the leaderboard, Kenny, is absurdly bland. Like when it comes to last week's performers. Ryan Gerard, Eric Cole, all of these Korn Ferry guys that have just come up, the blue collar boys. It just seems like everyone is just like walking around like a zombie. In order to like succeed in golf, you have to zombify yourself and just walk around there like you've just been told that your child died, or just being told that you've won $1 million. But you're not allowed to react to either in a fun or sad way. These are the things that like I think makes a good golfer. But for us as viewers, it's really turning into a situation where watching these guys go, there's like no emotion, there's no fist pumping, there's no like laughing, they serious as fuck. It's just like, it's there's no entertainment apart from the actual like play. When it
a lot of that has to do with the fact that nowadays a lot of these guys go to sports psychologists and stuff like that. And the number one thing that they keep, never to be too high, never to be too low.
Exactly.
That is something that is, pretty well taught when it comes to athletes, especially younger athletes nowadays, trying to get their mental right to play the game. Golf is such a mental game, like so much more than basically every other sport out there, that I can't hate on guys who want to try to do everything they can to make sure that the mental capacity of their game is in tip-top shape. And the majority of times when people talk about this type of situation, when it comes to golf, it's usually never too high, never too low. It's usually what we see, and it's a shame, you're right. I mean, we don't get like the crazy heightness and stuff like that we've seen from golfers in the past. But everyone is trying to get the game to a point where everything they do revolves around winning and doing everything they can to make themselves better at every single point of their round. Because you have to focus so hard and so long. I mean, round of golf is 5 hours. And the thing is, you can't lose focus at any time or you're going to get a double. You're going to have some weird score. And to do that, I think that sort of goes along with that plan of not being too high and not being too low. And the entertainment's from the golf, right? And those type of events, are a little bit less fun to watch. I mean, obviously, you don't have big names and stuff like that. And if we're gonna go segue into another segment here, we know that LIV is probably going to end. LIV is probably going to, we're going to try and get most of these golfers are going to come back to the PGA Tour at some point, somehow, right? The big key now is to try and figure out how, right? Like, how are we going to get these guys back? Does it have to be fair? What's the best situation? And as we talked, we heard from Brian Rolap, the commissioner, they're trying to think of this new tier system where there's tier 1 events and tier 2 events. The tier 1 events will be the number 1 best player to 120th best player in the PGA Tour with a cut to 65. Big money, big purses. Those are the ones that the elite guys are going to be playing every single time. And the big thing about that news was that they're going to do everything they can to dissuade those golfers from playing tier 2 events. The tier 2 events are going to be from the 121st ranked golfer to the 240th ranked golfer on the PGA Tour. And that's going to be the Colonials. That's going to be the Rocket Mortgages. That's going to be those events. Now, the problem with that is getting sponsors for the tier 1 events, probably easy. I mean, the ratings are up. We're good to go. People go to those events. You're going to have the superstars there. How are they going to get sponsors for these tier 2 events when they know they're never going to see Scotty? They're never going to see Rory. They're never going to see Oprah. They're never going to see Zin. When they're never going to see anybody in the top 120 on the PGA Tour. Like, how do you sell that to sponsors to make this work? Because sponsors pay out the most of the prize package, right? I mean, that's what they're paying into. And so how is that possible? Now, here's where I bring the LIV guys in. Everyone can come back who had a PGA. What I think should happen, what I want to see happen, and I know a lot of people are going to hate this because you have to hate LIV for some reason if you like the PGA Tour. I don't know. But what I think you do is you give everyone who had status when they left for LIV the Koepka treatment. Bring them back. $5 million fine. No tier 1 events. At least for the first year that they're back. First year that they're back, they have to play just tier 2 events unless they win. If they win, they can move on up. Yeah. If they don't win, they can't move up. And then the second year, when they're playing those tier 2 events, then they go into the seeding. So they make those events 130 golfers, 140 golfers when you add LIV. Don't count the LIV guys in the top 120. So you're not kicking anyone out. You're just adding. You're not kicking anyone out. You're just adding people to the event. And they don't count for the first year in any of the rankings. And so that automatically gives you Koepka. Oh, not Koepka. Bryson. Nico. Neiman. Rahm. Hatton. Cam. DJ. You get those guys playing tier 2 events every week. You could sell the sponsors on that for a year or two, right? You could sell the sponsors on a year or two, and then hopefully the ratings, they see the ratings are good, and you can keep going with the sponsors afterwards. Because I think is the biggest problem with the tier 2, the 2-tier system that Rolap is thinking of bringing out. Because I like the idea. It's just how can we get the money for those tier 2 events? And I think this is the way. Now, people are going to be pissed. People are like, oh, they fucked golf. I mean, yes, it sucked, but I mean, like, the prize pool's gotten better. The ratings have gotten up, on the PGA Tour. It might not have been the best thing possible, but even Rollout in an interview recently said they did good things. They said it's similar to what, the AFL or the UFL or whatever football league did when they tried to come up, or the ABA and the NBA. There has been situations where in this stance where one new renegade type of league has sort of made the other one get better. And even roll-up has said that is positive. That's what's happened. And so I think that a lot of people are going to hate this because they hate the LIV guys. They want them to see them suffer for some reason because they made money and made a decision that they thought was helpful for their lives. And so, okay, that's why you are punishing. They can't play the big money events, but this is also helping the PGA Tour get to the next level where they want to be with what roll-ups trying to dish out. I think that's the way I would like to see it done to help the PGA Tour, to help the tier 2 events. Because I mean, just imagine those fields. It would be unbelievable.
What, the tier 2 fields with the LIV guys?
And it gives them something to play for. Like, it's not like LIV where they're just doing nothing. They actually have some competition to earn their way back. Yeah. It's
missing
fantastic.
the cut.
It doesn't affect the other guys in the rankings because you don't put them into the rankings.
Yeah, fantastic.
They just let them play, and they have to win.
And the golden ticket is Millie Maker qualifier type thing. You gotta win it to win it, baby. So love that. I think the punishment should be severe. And it should be financial because they've got tons of it. Let's take that money and shove it into the people.
Just like Koepka.
It should be more. It should be more because he came over when they it's the olive. That was an olive branch deal. They should whack these guys now without the leaves on.
It should be a lot of
stick.
It could be. It should be a lot of things when you think about it. I'm just talking about what I think would be best for the tour. I don't care about punishment. I don't care about anything. I think this is what would be the best. And you are making them punish. They can't win the big fields. They can't win $4 million. They might be able to win like a 1.2 if they win, right? But if they don't win, I mean, they're losing a lot of money compared to what they were making at LIV, right? And they have no chance to move up through rankings other than winning. That's it.
Cool.
And
I'm cool with that.
I think maybe the second year you put them in the rankings or something. Do something like that. But I think that's a good way to try and get, because that's the biggest worry I have with the 2-tier system.
I think I'll be shocked if Scotty Scheffler doesn't show up to Colonial, to the Byron Nelson, regardless of what they do with the scheduling. I think he wants to play in Texas. Spieth will play in Texas. Xander will play the Farmers.
But what I'm saying is that the roll-up's literally saying they are telling these guys not to play tier 2 events.
I would be shocked. I'd be shocked. Like, why would you want to?
That's the rumor that's the word that I've heard that's been come out, that they strongly advise against playing tier 2 events.
Because I would imagine Scotty Scheffler wants to end his PGA Tour career having won every single event in Texas. He's now done. He doesn't have the Charles Schwab under his belt. So it would be hard to persuade those kind of things from happening. I think Rory and the Opens, I think he loves those, those kind of things, which likely won't be the tier. Who knows? Maybe we get more tier 1 events compared to the signature.
20 events. So it's 3 playoff events, the Players, the 4 majors, and 12 Siggies.
What do we currently have for Siggies right now?
I think 8.
Yeah. Maybe they rotate them around a bit better. Maybe
that could be another
Siggy
to keep
at Colonial the next year, so that you can have Scotty playing there as well. I'm sure if we coming up with better ideas than them, Kenny, this whole thing is fucking doomed anyway. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to trust these.
I think you'll make the right decision.
Me too. I have faith as well. So we'll see what he gets up to over there with all of that. Also, good job on Dan on golf, Kenny. Another appearance over there chatting to Dan Rappaport, one of my favorite humans in the world. So, Benny Hoozles, anything else happened this week, Kenny, that so you played lots of golf? Anything else you're getting up to?
Went out and played. Golf was a crazy game because I went out Saturday. It was fresh. Saturday I had plenty of sleep. Went out there Saturday. I think I shot like 97. It was like my worst round of the year. I couldn't hit anything right. Ended up just getting hammered. Like the back 9 because I was playing so horribly. Went out to eat. Had a really nice steak dinner. We were up in Deep Creek. Had a bunch of drinks. came back to the cabin, just got more loaded, sat by the fire, listened to the music. It still went to bed like a decent time, like around 1:30. Woke up at 7 to go play Rocky Gap. And, hungover, not very good sleep. Got to the course.
Basically our entire trip when you guys were
I was
here.
fucking Tiger Woods. I was striking a ball like fucking prime Tiger. Like, it was ridiculous. Like it was like top 5 ball striking day of my life. I was 1 over after 8. Or 1 over after 7. And then finished bogey double to finish that 9. Shot 40 on the front. And then I think I shot 7 over on the back. Shot like 84. I think 83. And I didn't make a single putt outside of 5 feet. Didn't make a single putt outside of 5 feet. I had like 10 pars. Didn't make a single putt. I had like 9 birdie putts. I was getting it up and down from everywhere around the green. It was ridiculous. I just couldn't make any birdies. I couldn't make a single putt outside of 5 feet. Like, if I made just a couple, it would have been such a crazy day. So golf was a funny game. It was definitely a lot of fun. Enjoyed my time and playing. I probably played like 20 rounds already this year. So I'm trying to get to 60 or 70 this season.
I think you can be happy you never had children, Kenny, because you just never have fallen in love with golf ever.
Yeah.
I am going to be cramming in as much practice as I can in the next couple of days because I'm heading up to Chicago to visit Ryan Noonan from BetSperts. We're going to go spending the night there, playing 2 rounds of golf with him.
Nice.
At his local courses there, and it's going to be bad. I'm not looking forward. Like when you just know your game is not ready right now. I just can't figure it out at the moment. I just don't have enough time to get my shit together. But looking forward to it. I'm going to have Noonan on my show next week to kind of we'll catch up again.
Where are you playing? Where's it live? What state?
He's in Illinois.
Oh, okay.
In Chicago. I can't remember the name of the place. It's some creaky country club, which means there's lots of water, and that's not. I need trees and open expanses for the Paradigm Triple Diamond Express off the tee. But other than that, I'm assuming I'm just going to have to hit a couple hybrids off the tee.
I missed like one fairway yesterday. It was crazy.
Look,
insane. And the crazy thing is, Rocky Gap's a lot tighter than the course I played on Saturday, which was 1,000 acres. Rocky Gap
checks out.
Real tight courses, the real tight windows. And I hit almost every fairway. And I hit driver off the tee almost every time. That was crazy.
Well, sometimes you just need like a narrow focus, and that if you aim small, you miss small, that kind of thing. So that's just, when you have a big fairway to aim at, you don't necessarily know where you're even aiming at when you're aiming it out there. So make sure, here's your golf tip for this week's show. If you're aiming, make sure that you're aiming at a specific target, not just the fairway. Make sure you're aiming at a tree in the background.
My thing is, I aim at a point 6 inches in front of my ball. I don't even look at where I'm hitting. Like, I put the ball down, I mark a spot 6 inches in front of it. When I see like where I want, put that mental marker, and that's what I aim for. 6 inches in front of the ball. I don't even look up.
There we go.
I don't look up again. At where I'm hitting.
Cool. Technically, you are aiming at a point way in the distance, but it's just 6 inches in front of you and extending. So there we have it, friends. Your fantasy golf degenerates tip of the week, sponsored by DraftKings. Use code FGD when signing up over there. We'd really appreciate you as a first-time depositor.
I'm doing something pretty cool. Before we go into it, next week, I'm doing something pretty cool. I'm playing, if anybody's familiar of the Nova Scotia area, I'm flying out to play Cabot Cape Breton, which is one of the most beautiful courses in the entire world. It's all on the cliff sides of everything. Take a look, Byron. Pull it up.
Is that the one Pat plays at a bunch?
Yeah. It is gorgeous.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we got invited to stay in a villa there. And so we're going out and shooting content for about 4 days. And we have all rounds included in that. So it is fucking
What's the
gorgeous.
content? Who are you shooting the content for?
It's for a marketing agency that I would do work for golf. So
nice.
It's gonna be a really cool experience. And then on the Monday, I'm actually gonna go with Pat to his studio and do a big studio tour there. So we might be recording the show from
our living rooms in the studio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To the studio.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to look a little bit different. So
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
Enjoy. That looks incredible. That
insane.
truly looks incredible.
Yeah, I can't wait to shoot 140. It's going to be so nice, dude. No comment. Yeah, no comment. Yeah.
No, I'm just trying to see if it's if you're playing it in clockwise rotation or anti-clockwise, because they're coming down the caves there, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hopefully your miss is the other side of the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully that's the case there, Mike. So awesome. Good luck. Enjoy. And now that we've told you guys about our 3 golfing experiences that none of you really care about anyway, let's dive into this week's course at Memorial at Muirfield Village out in Ohio. Kenny Kim, give us the course preview that everyone needs this week.
All right, so the PGA Tour moves to Ohio, Muirfield Village, like Byron said, 3 or 4 years ago. Jack made some big changes. Maybe it was 5 years ago. He redid all the grass on the fairways and greens, adjusted the bunkers, changed the contours of the green, added a bunch of new trees, and new tee boxes were put in to lengthen the course about 100 yards on maxed out. The course lengthening, fairway grass change, redoing the bunkers aren't that big of a deal, but the work on the greens is very important. First off, resodding the greens makes it firmer. You don't really have to worry about that so much this far in. But what he did do is he put in that super sub-air system when he made that change. So no matter, because Ohio has gotten a shit ton of rain in the last month, a shit ton of rain in the last month. But I still think with the sub-air and stuff like that, they can keep the courses dry as they would like, at least the greens. Now, they were, like I said, they were crazy firm in 2020 because they were new. It was like one of the most difficult scoring conditions the course has ever seen. Rahm dominated the course the next year. He shot -18 in 3 rounds before his COVID withdrawal, if you guys remember that. But no one else shot better than -13 for the week. And only a handful of golfers reached double digit under par. 3 years ago, I think Billy Horschel was double digit under par. And then, of course, last year, a couple years ago, Hovland won at 7. I think the last 2 years, Scheffler has won at like 12 and 11 or something like that. So, that's where I would expect the score to be. There should be some rain earlier in the week. And I think it's going to play somewhat like it did last week at Colonial, where, there's 15 to 20 mile per hour winds on a daily basis, rain Wednesday and Thursday. Of course, gets a little drier Friday, and as the weekend goes on, it can start getting a little bit crispy. And of course, that's the way Jack wants the course to be played. Now, Muirfield Village is so I'm thinking -10 to -13 winning score. Maybe a little bit better depending on how soft it is and how much they have to crank that sub-air and see how well that works for them. So let's get to the meat of the course. Muirfield Village, 7,550 yard par 72, 4 par 3s, 4 par 5s, most of which are reachable by 2 unless they use the tippy-tip back tees. Off the tee, golfers will see tree-lined fairways that are above average in width until about the 300-yard mark. After that, the fairways get much more narrow. There are deep fairway bunkers and water in play on 11 holes. The water is quite tricky here as creeks sometimes run alongside the entire hole and in some cases across the middle of the fairway. Now, with wide fairways, you think this is a driver-heavy course, but like you look back in 2019 and ranked in the bottom 10 of courses on tour in driving distance. Average distance around 282. A few years after that, I think 2022, the average driving distance was only 285. The last couple of years, it was similar, around 285, 290 is the max driving distance at this course. So golfers must avoid the trouble that surrounds the fairway. So many tee shots, the driver's going to be kept in the bag. If these fairways are missed, thick 4.5-inch rough will make approach shots into these smaller screens very difficult. There's been people the last couple of years, golfers, who have talked about the rough and who have said that it's most of the time the lies are so bad, it's not even worth trying to go for the green. Like they are punching out from the rough here. So that's how important it is to hit fairways, right? Now, you don't want to hit it into the fucking fairway bunkers. That's for goddamn sure. The fairway bunkers, it's like a 65% bogey or worse rate. If you hit the ball into a fairway bunker here, and the bogey rate's very, very high. Also, if you hit it into the rough here, right? So leaving the ball below the hole on approaches isn't important, as many of the greens slope from back to front. Even though the greens have been reconfigured, this remains the same. This aspect remains the same. Golfers that hit over the greens will have very difficult chips. If they hit it deep and the pin is in a back location, it's almost an auto bogey, or worse. The softening of this course from rain has drastically changed the difficulty in a pass, and this was pre-sub air. Like in 2015, the course was so soft. Muirfield was only the 23rd most difficult course on tour. A couple of years before that, it was dry. It was the 6th most difficult course on tour. Now, again, with the state-of-the-art sub-air systems, it's possible that a light rain might not make the course easier at all. A deluge might. But then again, Jack's going to do everything in his power to keep things firm and fast. The greens are bent grass, are usually firm depending on the weather. Once again, water and sand come into play around the putting surface, and the greens themselves are somewhat hilly, undulating, and multi-tiered. The final 3-hole stretch is very difficult. A long par 3, 2 very long par 4s with danger all around. It's just the fairways are fairly easy to hit. And of course, people are using less than driver for that. This course is definitely an approach shot driven course. Finding golf with a good iron play, good short game is going to be key this week. If you're looking off the tee, they just got to keep it on the fairway. And I think a lot of people are going to be using less than driver, so it's tough to really get a gauge on that. But you want them to be as accurate as possible off the tee. Being short, you just got to be better with your longer irons, and you got to be good with your around the green play. Byron, what are you looking for?
Love that, Kenny. Hopefully I wasn't getting into Mike's way too much as I was diving into the screen sharing there while you were going, but we're going to check some boxes. I had all sorts of boxes up there while you were chatting as well. In the meantime, taking a look at strokes gained approach, kind of just bouncing off of what you mentioned earlier. If we just take a look at what the micro model projects, because I was showing the micro model while you were chatting about the course, and you mentioned there were multiple holes here where you're hitting it less than 275 off the tee, at least 4 times. You're hitting it with a hybrid, essentially off the tee, maybe a 3-wood for some guys, but that's 4 driver holes that you're hitting a 3-wood for. And then on those holes, you have only one of them is a par 5. The other 3, you still got a wedge in. So if you hit the fairway with that iron shot, you are diving in gravy. If you miss the fairway penalty ratio is half a stroke. You're hacking out, and you got to get up and down for par from, wedge super close to the green, but you are still not going to likely hit the green at all if you are hitting it into the rough here. It's ridiculously difficult. So that's the situation we find ourselves over here. Let's check some boxes for Byron this week. We've got 6. Last week we had 7. I'm not necessarily counting putting on bent grass that much this week. I think ball strikers can demolish this venue. So we're just cool with, off the tee and stuff like that going forward. Course fit in particular. So hell scoring over par. I was just showing you guys earlier on the screen here. When you take a look at course difficulty, I do a pivot table where I kind of just run through every single year and see if there was any sort of round that had a scoring average that's different to hellish at this golf course. Every single round at this golf course in the last 4 years has been over par. Like well over par. So you don't even expect anything of that nature coming through. So if you want to take a look at Woo checks the boxes for hellish scoring conditions this week, you can do it right over here on the Model Maniac Patreon. And it's Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Matt Fitzpatrick, Henley, Cam Young, Schauffele, Fleetwood, Burns, Spieth, and Ben Griffin checking that box at 1.7 strokes gained on the field in average in weighted conditions, in hellish conditions, when scoring par is over par, scoring average. That's that. Then we're going to take a peek at guys that are trending right now. We can go over to this tab over here, click on strokes gained over the last 4 months. I've got a 24, 12, 8, 4, 2, and 1. So you can see which way a golfer's game is going. And the guys that are playing the best golf over the last 4 months are Scheffler, McIlroy, Young, Fitzpatrick, Matthew, that is, Oberg, Jake Knapp, Xander Schauffele, Russell Henley, Minwoo Lee, Siwoo Kim, Tommy Fleetwood, and Nikolai Højgaard, rounding out a bonus name for you over there. These are guys that thrive when scoring conditions. These are guys that are thriving over the last 4 months. The scoring conditions being hard was the previous one we were doing there. Then we want to go and see who on earth is doing good things in other boxes. They're going to be the micro model ranking, which is the course fit ranking, which kind of takes every single specific hole that you can find and it applies the golfer's skill sets to that specific hole. So these are your guys that dominate on this specific course based off of how the micro model will project them. It is Rory McIlroy in the first spot, and it's because his long irons are so damn good. I want to just mention this as we're getting into the course fit here, because you were mentioning, Kenny, some of the shorter hitters are going to have a lot more long irons in than others. If you are a long driver of the golf ball, so Rory McIlroy's length, Wyndham Clark's length, you're going to have 5 shots from 100 to 150, 6 shots from 150 to 200, and 7 shots from 200 plus. The shortest hitters are going to have 4, 7, 7 of those same buckets. So they're going to have 14 shots from 150 and out, whereas the long hitters only have 13. And they're going to have an additional wedge inside that range. So, that's kind of just how this works. It's just, I think I actually fiddled this the wrong way around. It should be 6, 5, 7 for the long drivers. That's my bad. The math makes sense. Logic makes sense. But what we do notice here is that every single golfer is going to be hitting 7 shots from 200 plus. And here are your golfers that are the best on approach from 200 and out. Rory McIlroy from the fairway, Sepp Straka, Tommy Fleetwood, Ryan Fox, Siwoo Kim, Alex Fitzpatrick, Gary Woodland, Hideki Matsuyama, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Nikolai Højgaard are your top 10 out of the fairway from 200 plus. That's where about 40% of your shots are going to be coming from this week. So you got to have that dialed in. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble this week. Moving into some other boxes. Course history is important this week. We've seen guys like Scotty Scheffler just thrive at this venue. If we filter by strokes gained course history over here, you should see a multitude of dudes just repping out good finishes nonstop. For some of them, not so much, but we'll get to those names here shortly. Scotty Scheffler's numero uno, Patrick Cantley, Siwoo Kim, Ludwig Oberg, Rory McIlroy, Xander, Spieth, Sungjae, Sepp Straka, Nick Taylor are your guys gaining a stroke on the field at this venue in the last 5 years. Very interesting to note some names over here. If you're taking a look at some of the best strokes gained, they are still lacking significant top 5 upside here. We are seeing Rory McIlroy in the last 5 years does not have better than a 7th. Xander Schauffele doesn't have better than an 8th. It's just kind of interesting to note. Ludwig, we're not going to mention that. This is only his 3rd time playing here. So just worth noting, the course history is strong for these guys, but they're consistent. They're not necessarily pumping out sporadically good and bad results. So that's just one thing to notice. Then we're taking a look at finish rates, win percentages, top 5 percentages, top 10 percentages. We're totaling them up, getting a number here. These are guys that have 0. We don't want them. Here's Scotty Scheffler leading the pack at 172 total percents. Cam Young is next. These are upside. This is an upside projection. How often do you finish top 5 and top 10 and win tournaments? Tommy Fleetwood, Russell Henley, Rory McIlroy, Matt Fitzpatrick, Ludwig Oberg, Xander Schauffele, Jake Knapp, and Chris Wrighton, finding himself in the 10th most percentages gained as a winner, a top 5er, and a top 10er. Some of the names that don't have a win in this period are Ludwig and Jake Knapp. Those are the only 2 names that don't have a win on the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour or wherever else I have data from for these boys. Some of them are all-time PGA Tour players. Then we're going to go to my model rankings and get the hell out of Byron's boxes, chat about some bets. But the Model Maniac Patreon rankings for this week, your top 10 names are Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Oberg, Siwoo Kim, Xander Schauffele, Matt Fitzpatrick, Patrick Cantley, Tommy Fleetwood, Russell Henley, and Cameron Young. Notable name that's not featured here is Sepp Straka in 11 for a bonus name over there. Those are your boxes, friends. We are looking for good drivers of the golf ball, essentially, in the Model Maniac microfit there. Looking for good course history, some recent form, just a general bit of everything this week. But I think course history matters a bit more this week than most other venues. We've had some sticky-ish spots, but, with the Colonial being a renovated venue, Byron Nelson being renovated, that course history doesn't quite translate as much as we've spoken about over the last little while. Anything you take away from those boxes there, Kenneth Kim?
No, I'm good to go.
Okay. Well, tell us who the hell you are betting this week. Sponsored by DraftKings. Use code FGD when signing up. We will get back in a short second. Football season is right around the corner, and DraftKings is bringing you their biggest best ball contest ever. We're talking a massive $20 million in total prizes, making this the largest best ball tournament in DraftKings history. And right now, our partners at DraftKings are giving new DraftKings customers a can't-miss offer. Get 3 tickets to play best ball for free with your first deposit. That's right. Deposit once and score 3 shots at big cash prizes only on DraftKings. It's easy. Just draft your team once, no weekly management required, and let your top scorers automatically start each week. All season long, every breakout star, every clutch play, and every touchdown counts towards your shot to win big. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and make your first deposit of $5 or more, and you'll score 3 tickets for your shot at massive cash prizes. That's 3 shots in DraftKings' biggest best ball contest ever without ever setting your lineup again. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 plus in most states. Restrictions apply. Non-withdrawable ticket rewards are site credits for NFL best ball contests only and expire 14 days after being issued. Terms, www.draftkings.com/promotions in 6/4/26 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, sponsored by DraftKings.
All right, so let's get to these bets. First bet for me this week. I have a problem. I have issues. I'm going Oberg, 25-1, 3 places. Definitely have Oberg issues. I can't stop betting him. I don't know why. Gained in ball striking in 9 straight, gained around the greens in 8 of his last 10, a 5th and a 16th here in the past. I just hope to God at one point he can just come through on a Sunday because he's forever there. I'm just hoping it can happen. At one point, I'm going to go with him. If I can still get 25-1 in 3 places, I'll keep betting. It could be stupid. Next, it's going to be Fitzpatrick. Matthew, 33-1 with 3 places. In his last 6 starts, he has 2 wins, a 2nd, a 14th, 18th, and a 52nd. Form-wise, Fitzy, Oberg, Smalley seem to have the best run in the last 2 months leading up to this week. His ball striking has been elite, especially his driving accuracy, which he will need at Memorial. Doesn't make many big numbers, and his around-the-green game has been the best in the field in the last 24 rounds. I really like Fitzy this week. Next, it's going to be Hideki Matsuyama, 35-1 with 8 places. I will say, I cast out Sepp Straka to bet Hideki. So I had cashed out Straka, so you guys know what to do on that. But when it comes to Deki's iron game and short game are always solid, right? He gained 1.5 strokes ball striking last week. The last 5 times Decky gained a 1.5 strokes or more ball striking and finished top 25, he has come back the following start with an average finish position of 11th, including a win at St. Jude in 2024. All 5 of those were inside the top 18. So the last 5 times he's been top 25 and gained 1.5 strokes per round ball striking, he's finished inside the top 18. His average finish 11th. He has a win in those 5 times. So going back a little bit of history there with Decky. That's why I cast Straka out once I started looking at those numbers a little bit more with Decky. And I know Kirschman always asks me, he's like, well, why do you cash out so many bets before the tournament even starts? So the way I do my betting is I have a strict budget. $400, $50 a unit, 8 units, basically for me a week to bet. The goal is to win 30 minimum. So that would be $1,500. So I would win $1,100 minimum. That is my goal. So I bet as many people as I can who can fit in that 8-unit budget. So some weeks it could be 5 people. Some weeks it could be 12, right? That's just the way I go about my betting process. And also, I make a lot of bets early on, like I've talked about in the past, where I do the initial off the top of my head, just gut feel, look at the numbers, make my bets, right? That works pretty well. But then sometimes I go into my research process. I'm like, I like this guy better after looking at the numbers. And so that's where the switches usually come from. Now, granted, those 2 times with Wrighton and Wyndham Clark did not work out well, but I've done it like 7 or 8 times this season. So hopefully it doesn't happen again, but it could. And if you want, I'll let you know when it happens. It's Straka this week.
And how many winners do you have
this
this season, though? Kenny, like you cashing out these names. Yes, those 2 won, but you also betting names that were likely on the card that won you some cash. Like
I have 3 wins. I only have 3 wins. It's not great. We're halfway through the season, so I'm a little bit under where I would like to be. I want to get 7. Right now, we're almost a little bit less than a halfway point because I count the fall. And we're at 3, so I'm a little bit behind.
Sure.
All right, so JT 40-1, 8 places is my next bet. He looks like he's on the verge. 3 straight top
Justin
13.
Thomas.
Justin Thomas, yes. 3 straight top 13s, including a top 5 at the PGA. Iron game and short game have been good like normal, but he looks a lot better off the tee. In the last month. As long as he keeps hitting fairways, I could see him in contention this week. Next, it's going to be Maverick McNeely 40-1 with 8 places. Matt doesn't have the best looking numbers for the guys in my betting card, but he did show up near the top of the leaderboard for a couple of rounds at Aronimink. He's been very consistent this season, but hasn't had like that really popping strong finish yet this year. My gut tells me that it can happen this week. He gained almost a stroke on the field. He gains almost a stroke on the field in very long courses, and he also gains over 1.5 strokes on the field in difficult to very difficult courses. Definitely a field play, but I really do like Mav this week. Next, I got 2 bombs. It's going to be Woodland 70-1 with 8 places. Gary has 5 top 17s in his last 8 events, including a win. Ball striking has been consistently good and bent as his best putting surface. Coming off a 6th place win, 6th place last week, I feel like 71's a pretty more than fair number for Gary with 8 places, especially when you throw in the 8 places. I'm sure you can get like 80 or 90 or 100 win outright on some other books right now. I feel like that's very, very fair for Gary. Last, it's going to be Nick Taylor 80-1 with 8 places. Top 10 in wins on the PGA Tour in the last 4 years. Might even be top 6 in wins in the last 4 years on the PGA Tour. Has had his 2 best finishes here the last 2 years, all while playing against Siggy Fields. So he's played this course a bunch before, but his 2 best finishes were the last 2 years, and those are the first times where it was like a signature event, where he's playing against like the best. And he finished 28th 2 years ago and 4th last year. Gains almost 2 strokes on the field on very difficult courses throughout his career. Bent is his best putting surface. So my card for this week, Oberg 25-1, 3 places. Fitz 33-1, 3 places. Decky 35-1, 8 places. JT 40-1, 8 places. Mav 40-1, 8 places. Woodland 70-1, 8 places. Nick Taylor 80-1, 8 places.
I love the fact that you've cashed out on Sep, Kenny, because I'm in on Sep. So if that helps me, I'm going to be helpful. If it doesn't, then so be it. It is what it is. We are rocking and rolling with Sepp Straka, as you can see on the screen here. The course history is sensational. 16th, 5th, and 3rd in the last 3 memorials. And when you take a look at why that is the case, he's second in this field in strokes gained approach. He's middle of the pack in driving accuracy, but he is the second best player in the field from 200 plus out of the fairway when it comes to his irons. And remember, we said 7 shots are coming from 700 plus from that range, and we're going to see an abundance of shots coming from 150 to 200 as well. So, he is 14th in that department when it comes to strokes gains. So, hitting a ton of greens as well around this golf course makes a big difference because this thick rough can get you buried, and it's going to be a hard situation to get out of if you are missing fairways, which Sepp doesn't necessarily do. So we've got some good course history. Ideally, we'd like some better putting splits on bent, but the number is banana land. This is a 50-1 without Scotty Scheffler. We will likely be getting to that at some point here shortly. I'm still trying to decide what we are doing there. Then for Ben Griffin's situation, we are going to be taking a peek at his current form with a third place at the Charles Schwab last week. We got a 14th at the PGA Championship. We got a third, I believe, at the Cadillac, not so long ago as well. Starting to find his form, moving in the right direction over the last little while. He's actually hitting a lot of fairways over here. So that's what's going on with Ben Griffin. If we take a look at his actual numbers, they don't exist for some reason, so we'll pretend like that doesn't exist. We can move over to this other tab and take a look at Ben Griffin from this situation. It's interesting because he's on my outright card and he's ranked 30th, Kenny. Before I started the model, I bet Ben Griffin on the toilet, like you do with your gut. There's no better time to listen to your gut than when you're getting rid of your gut. So I like Ben Griffin doing his thing at this golf course. He's fantastic on bent grass greens. He's a short game surgeon, and all of this ball striking disaster that you're seeing over here is got to do with this year. Since he got married, Kenny mentioned it on the very first show we did this year, that he got married with a freaking orangutan around his neck. That's just not going to produce good golf for you going forward. He's starting to figure it out. The honeymoon is over, and thank God. So let's go, Ben Griffin. Let's see what you can do. If you take a look at what he actually gets up to on longer approach shots, he's one of the better long iron players on the PGA Tour over a longer period of time. In 2025, when he was doing his thing, that's the reason why he thrived here. Now, did he gain 8 strokes in the first round? Yes. But he hung on, and Ben Griffin would have had 5 wins last year if it wasn't for Scotty Scheffler. He landed up with 3. He finished second to Scheffler twice in 2025. So this man knows how to win. We've been popping around the top of the leaderboards the last little while with some really good finishes. Yeah, we got a third, a 14th, and a third in the last 4 starts. So that's good to see him having some high-end finishes. And you can get that at 32-1 on DraftKings without Scotty Scheffler. I know that there are numbers out there that have the exact same odds for Ben Griffin to win with Scotty Scheffler. So go check DraftKings out over there. Use code FGD when you do that. That number is the best on the market, in my opinion. And DraftKings does have a lot of the best market numbers out there. Then we're going to do all of those without Scotty Scheffler. And then Scotty Scheffler is now 3-1 plus 315 to win golf tournament this week at a venue that he's won at the last 2 times. It would be a 3-peat for sure if he does do that this week. In 2023, I think he lost more strokes than he gained on approach or something ridiculous. It was a banana situation where he just could not putt and still finished 3rd. And I think he had his best tee to green performance of his career that week. So he loves this golf course. I'm contemplating going to Scotty Scheffler in the top 5 market as well. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to bet him to win this tournament or if I'm going to bet him hard in the top 5 market, because we can get a minus 160-ish for a top 5 on Scotty Scheffler. It's a 67% clip that he's finishing inside the top 5 right now over the last 12 months. But if you just take a look at this golf course, he's finished inside the top 3 every single time he's played here, since 2021. So Scotty Scheffler doing good things. Heading into the week, we've got a trio of second place finishes and a 3rd at the CJ Cup by Nelson. I think this golf course is a perfect venue to nail Scotty Scheffler in any capacity you can find. Even at 13.5, I think the pricing is better than we've seen in the past. So, we are seeing a man that's winning 1 in every 4 starts. 3-1 is out there. It's very fair. So I think the value can be found potentially if you find a good number on Scotty Scheffler in the top 5 market. I've been trying to vamp for as long as I can because Kenny has left the screen and I don't know where he is. So we're going to have to just cut it short. We'll be back with you guys in 2 seconds. I can't keep vamping. It's not a live show. It doesn't matter. All right, let's get into some blood, sweat, and DFS tiers for this week's Memorial Challenge. Classic tournament, whatever you want to go with it, presented by Nationwide, Arnold Palmer Invitationals, and everything else involved. MasterCard, Visa, blah, blah, blah. Scotty Scheffler's $13,500. Rory McIlroy's 11.5. Cameron Young 10.3. And Ludwig Oberg is 10.1. That is your 10K range for this week's Memorial Tournament. Where are we going here, Kenny Kim?
Yeah, I mean, Scotty's price has gone down a little bit. Again, there is a cut at this event, so you guys do need to remember that. It is 72 golfers. The cut will be top 50 in ties. More than likely, 15 golfers, 15 to 20 golfers will be cut. I do like playing Scotty in events with the cut, and I think he has a very good chance of winning this. He's won 2 in a row. But I'm not going to play him. I'm not going to play him. I'm not going to bet him. I'm not going to use without Scotty. I mean, that's what I have the 8 places for. If I can't get the win, hopefully I get the placements, make some of my money back. That's fine. I'd rather bet the 8 guys I'm doing than one Scott, because I would have to basically bet on my whole bankroll on Scotty if I wanted to bet him. And I've done it before. It's not like it never happens. But he hasn't won except for an easy Amex course this year. And so maybe he's going through a little bit, maybe he's having a tough time getting past the edge. I don't know. He's playing fine, really, because if you look at his numbers, they're great. And I'm worried, of course I am, but I think I'm going to fade the top 3 guys. They want to fade Rory, going to fade Cam Young as well. Cam, not the best at this course. Again, he's playing a lot better than he was when he played these events in the past. But you can't play everybody. And I like the 9K range and Oberg a lot.
I thought Cam would be a hustler play, Kenny, given his history, because Cam Young is looking for his first top 20 at this golf course, people. His best finish here was last year at 25th.
What do you think his ownership's going to be? That's the big thing, because here's the thing. I was trying to make my game theory lineup. And with the top guys, I think Cam and Fitz, and I wouldn't put, I would just go Fitz and up. I think Cam, Fitz are the 2 most likely to be the lowest owned.
I don't see Fitzy getting that much hate. I think he's going to be quite popular, given the fact that
what about
he's got some. Well, Xander is interesting because I was going to use him as the reason.
Cam is going to be the lowest owned guy in the top 7. If he is, I'm going to play him.
It's hard. It's super difficult because people get like rages for Cam out of nowhere, but he's not a very good long iron player. He's never played well here. It's interesting. And he's not, not projecting well at all from like a course fit perspective. He's 6th when he's like one of the best in the field. So, in form wise, at least it's all on the putter. It's whether or not he can do it with the putter or not this week. And, that's what you see is when your putter lets you down, Cam Young's not going to have the upside that he typically possesses because that's his biggest weapon right now.
So the game theory lineup that I'm starting with, I have it starting with Xander because I'm thinking Xander, Fitz, or Cam will be the lowest owned of the 3. I went with Xander in there, and I can make adjustments if I'd like. I mean, I can move Xander up to Cam Young if I like, but for right now, I have Xander. And then my next, and then that's where I'm going to start. And I'll go over the whole lineup when I go over my hustler play of the week. But Oberg is my first cash game cornerstone. We talked about him, of course, in the betting segment. The floor is so high for Oberg, right? I mean, I feel like, a bad week for him is top 20. And, he has
last week when I made him my one and done.
I think he finished 23rd.
It's not a top 20.
I mean, it's around. It's around
17th.
Yeah, that's
Still,
what I thought.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
20.
Still
and then
useless.
So, I think the floor is high. I think he has upside. I mean, can he win? I hope so. We'll see. But be on the first first page of the leaderboard on Sunday is not going to be a shocking thing for him. So we know that that's there. I think his floor is high. I think he makes a good start for your cash game lineup. My second cash game cornerstone is going to be right underneath. It's going to be Fitz. Again, the form is there, plays well here. Ball striking has been excellent. Go ahead and give me Fitz as my second cash game cornerstone. As we move into the 9K range, I do like Ben Griffin. I think 9,000 is a fair price for him for a guy who finished second. I'll go ahead and play a little Ben Griffin. He's been, like you said, he's been showing a little bit more form here recently. He's sort of out of that slump. Just hearing him talk on the mic, it seemed like he was very, very happy. How much you can actually gauge from something like that, you really can't. But I just liked the way he presented himself, the way he sounded like he was having a good time. Didn't seem, it just seemed like everything was going well for him. So the game's improving. Maybe, like you said, maybe he's getting used to the marriage. He's getting, acclimated to it and with the game that he has to play. And now, life changes can be a big part of, a golfer's upwards and downward ability, right? Because of how important the mental aspect of the game is. So I'm back on Ben Griffin. We're back on.
It's fair. Everything, you seem like you are the Ben Griffin whisperer in some capacity because you called the fade early in the year. So that's interesting to note. But for me, in the 10K range, just getting back to that, since we just flowed right into the 9 there off the back of your Ludwig take there, Kenny Kim. $11,500 Rory McIlroy could be an interesting take as well, because the course history for him, with his best finish being a 7th, is perplexing. It doesn't make sense based off of how he's grading out for me this week in the course model. Like he's trumping Scotty Scheffler this week in the micro model. And it's got to do with Rory gaining like a 10th of a stroke on approach from 200 plus every single time he hits. Like if he hits 10 200-yard approach shots from the fairway, he's gaining a full stroke on the field in those 10 shots. It's 1.1 actually. It's a 0.11. So he's incredibly good from a very important range at a golf course that doesn't give him the best course history, but Rory's the best in hellish conditions, 2.5 strokes on the field. It's only 0.4 strokes behind Scotty. Hard and hellish conditions is when Rory gains the least amount strokes less than Scotty. Scotty dominates Rory in easy and medium. Hard and hellish, that's where you want Rory McIlroy if Scotty Scheffler's playing. He's just playing such good golf right now. So he just needs to hit a bit more fairways, and I think maybe that could happen the way he's doing his thing at the moment. So the course fit just makes way too much sense for him. I never get Rory right, so maybe it's a perfect fade for you guys going there, but 11.5 makes a lot of sense for me. At 13,500, Scotty Scheffler is still very difficult to build around. It's the right price for him, but $13,500, you gotta absolutely nail the $6,000 range with at least 2 players. So do we think at a course like this, those guys are going to show up? I'm scrolling through the 6K range and there's not a lot of good things to see, but there are some good names.
The problem is, I will say I started getting, in the last year and a half is when I started getting a lot better at DFS, or maybe I was always good and I just started playing the right tournaments. Who knows? But the one thing that I try to limit is 6K exposure. There are weeks where I don't play a single 6K guy. And I think overall it's helped me be more consistent. To get those min cashes and stuff like that. And even, like I said, I've had some GPP sweats and almost wins. And I had a win earlier in the fall, Silverado. And, I had a 6th place at the Genesis at a second a couple of weeks ago, in some big GPPs. And, I think the strategy of trying to reduce the amount of 6K guys you play, because you don't need to play these guys. Like you don't. Like a lot of the times you can make lineups and not really have to have them. Now in events with no cut, it's a lot easier to push them in. But even in those events, I don't really play too many 6K guys. And that's
because you've gone from multi-maxing to 4 lineups a week.
Yeah.
If you're trying to put a player pool together of only 4 lineups, who are the best golfers? They're not in the 6K range, so that makes a lot of sense, Kenny.
So for me, it's helped me, but to each his own. That's just something that I've noticed in my change. Where are we going? 8K range?
I want to mention some more 9Ks. I haven't really had a chance to speak any DFS yet. You've just been rattling off as you should. You are our guy in the DFS streets, but I think Siwoo Kim makes a ton of sense as well. Just playing such good golf, $9,400. I think I will be leaving Cam Young alone. I'll be leaving Patrick Cantley alone as well. He could very well be the Statfish, but he's not checking 2 little boxes this week. He's actually checking 3 of the 6. But I have that in the 8K range for us. Cantley is going to be having this course history. He was a winner here in 2021, a third the following year. But since then, we haven't had a top 10. So, and if you take a look at his recent form, there's like no top 5s. If you are a $9,200 golfer, you need to be finishing top 5. Semi-routinely for me, Patrick Cantley's got a 5% top 5 rate. I'm like, Russell Henley's 29, Tommy Fleetwood's 36, Ben Griffin's 21. Just for some context there. He's like 15% behind those guys. And at this golf course, I think he's going to ownership his way up people's clicks. And I just don't think he's got the upside for us this week. That's my take on the 9K range. Let's get back into the flow of the show in the 8s, where we've got Minwoo Lee, Sam Burns, and others in the $8,000 range. Kenny Kim, where are we going?
Hideki is my third cash game cornerstone. Again, another bet. Like I said, the big thing for him is how good he's been after a solid finish like he did last week. The last 5 times, he's finished inside the top 25 and gained 1.5 strokes ball striking. The next time out, I think his worst finish is 18th. His average finish is 11th, and he's had a win in that situation. His iron game, of course, is strong. His short game is strong. Give me Decky as the third cash game cornerstone. I really like Justin Thomas. Again, on the betting card, I think he's on the verge. Really about 4 really solid finishes here. Recently, his driver has been a lot better here in the last month to 6 weeks. So I like him. Maverick McNeely is definitely a field play who is in the first page of the leaderboard for a couple of days of the PGA Championship. Hopefully his putting prowess, especially on bent, can be helpful. So I like Maverick McNeely at the 8K in the 8K range. Who do you like?
Yeah, Mav is so interesting, Kenny. He may be like a better fish bet for me because he also doesn't have a double-digit top 5 rate. He is $8,300, but man, he's finishing inside the top 30 every 3 or 4 starts.
Super consistent. Just hasn't had that breakout finish yet. And
he can win the RSM.
Obviously, there. I'm hoping it's this week.
Yeah, that's the thing. Are you trying to be early on somebody who's just been consistently playing good golf, but kind of lacking that upside? Or are you waiting for him to show you like a Ben Griffin? Okay, I had a third at the Cadillac, a 13th, and then another third. Now I'm here, So I might be waiting for Mav to show us that. Still, 14th for me in the model, 75% top 30 rate, 8% top 5 rate. It's a massive shift over there. Whereas like someone like Bobby Mack has a 21% top 5 rate, but a 54% top 30 rate. So 20% less time.
What was Mav ranked in your model?
Mav is 14th in my model.
He's 57th in mine.
If I were to guess what you are weighting heavily in your model, it's more short term than anything else, right, Kenny Kim, for you?
It's only 24 rounds.
Yeah. He doesn't hit a lot of fairways, does he? So I don't know. But he drives the ball well. What's the issue? Why is he so far? That's
53rd tee to green, 67th in approach, 64th in ball striking, 70th in driving accuracy.
Okay, so it's basically the ball striking that's really letting him down there for us then.
Yep.
Okay, we'll see.
But he's been again, he'll club down, doesn't have to the driver, hopefully hit more fairways. So we'll see how he does. Again, it's definitely not a numbers play for him.
Yeah, he's $8,300. It is what it is. I think a sneaky option for me is Bobby Mack because he's got like I said, he's finishing inside the top 30, 20% less than Maverick McNeely, but 1 in every 5 starts for Bobby Mack is a top 5. Like when he goes, he goes. His iron play is offline completely right now, 29th in my model, but he's someone that putts well on bent grass greens and drives the ball well. At a golf course like this, you got to have that first domino falling in the right direction. Half a stroke on approach or half a stroke penalty if you're missing the fairway. Yeah, it's hard to hit the greens once you come out the stick rough. There's water everywhere. Bobby Mack is very good at driving the golf ball right now. So I love the idea of him having a good momentum start to most of the holes while his teammates and partners and colleagues and opposition will be in the rough. He'll be there, and then he putts fantastic. And he also does his absolute best work in hard conditions as well. So give me Bobby Mack. This week's Statfish of the Week comes in the $8,000 range. It's a man that loves to cook. It's a man that checks one of the 6 boxes. I don't really have anybody remotely close to not checking any boxes that grades out well. 52nd in my model rankings. We're only finishing inside the top 10 every 10% of the time. We got a sub 50% top 20 rate for him as well. We've never finished better than 49th at this golf course. His last couple starts have not been better than a 14th. When it comes to the course fit situation here, he gains 0 strokes on the field in hellish conditions. Anytime it's over par, he's a neutral option. When it comes to hitting fairways, he's slightly below average in that department, and his last 2 months of golf have been rather lackluster. His name is Min Woo Lee. I don't understand what he's doing at $8,900 in this kind of a situation. He's likely not going to be that high owned. There's a reason why these guys are stat fishers. Don't get caught out with them. Don't let the chef take your stat fish and sizzle that thing up. You keep that away from him, okay, people? You keep him out of your lineups. I don't think this is the venue for him because, again, he's a powerhouse hitter. Not a lot of these holes is going to allow you to overpower them. We saw 4 of these tee shots, you hitting at less than 250 yards, 275 yards. So that takes his power out of the equation. The rest of his game can be a real hit or miss situation as well. And he's been really struggling with the putter lately as well. So $8,900 is Min Woo Lee. A little overpriced in my opinion. Don't pay $8,900 for a stat fish is going to get you sick 2 rounds in. There's a good chance he misses the cut this week at this golf course. It's only a 72-man field. I've got him ranked 52nd. Not looking good for Min Woo Lee, the way the tea leaves are unfolding there. All right, Kenny. JJ Spahn's also very interesting, coming in at 2030 my model for $8,000. I like him down at the bottom there too. Moving into the $7,000 range.
What do you want with Smalley? Do you think he's going to keep? I mean, the guy's been playing unbelievable golf. Do you think he's going to stay popular even in this event with this field?
The problem with Alex Smalley is that he's doing it ball striking. It's not like he's he's putting well as well, but he's just doing it every single week. He's just so consistent and he's cheap. $8,000 is fine, considering he's outscoring Jordan Spieth, Harris English, Justin Rose, Kirk Kitayama, Adam Scott, Goddard, McNeely. Now, this guy's been playing fantastic golf coming into the week. His worst finish since the Houston, he's a 21st, a 7th, a 2nd, and a 3rd. The second coming at the PGA Championship.
So that's another thing. I'm hoping his ownership's going to be down because I'm looking at him hard.
I doubt it. I doubt it will be less owned than those around him. But again, Kenny, if you get ownership, you're getting value, in my opinion, at his price. He's a good option at that price point. So then you take on the ownership. You know how to wiggle around the other ownership ways. So build it how you need it. In the $7,000 range, you've got Jordan Spieth, Sepp Straka, Jake Knapp, Gary Woodland. Some fun names of mentioning high in the model here for me. Where are you going, Kenny Kim? 7,000.
Let's go with my Hustler Play of the Week. Mike, hit the music. The Hustler Play of the Week is going to be Aaron Rai at $7,500, coming off his major win. Most DFS players won't go back to a guy of his ilk after a big win like that. It's just something that I've noticed playing DFS. A Scotty or a Top Dog. Okay, yes, you go back to them. But a guy like Rai, who wins an event sort of out of the blue, like that, I think tends to get lower ownership than he should be. And the thing about Rai is it's not like it's some scrub randomly it's not like he's Sean McKeel or something that won the PGA Championship. This guy has won on the PGA Tour. He's won all over the globe. He beat Rory and he beat Tommy in Dubai, right? I mean, the guy's got mad skill. He hits every fucking fairway known to man, right? And that's going to be step 1 of Muirfield Village. Go ahead and hit those fairways, and then let's see where he gets from there. He's got to have supreme confidence because it's not only the win. He's coming off a 5th from Myrtle Beach the week before his victory at the PGA. He's probably flying high right now. I think if you can get him at single-digit ownership, which I think is very, very possible this week, for a guy who obviously has the upside to win a tough event like this. I'm going to go Rye as my hustler play of the week. And since I've been giving out the game theory lineups, he's in there. I have Xander, Rye, McNeely. Again, McNeely, I don't feel very high on. The stats aren't going to be that great. It's a gut play. Ben Griffin, who could be chalky, but it's okay to play a little bit of the chalk. A guy who's on a nice little run, whose price I think is fair for where his level is. I like Bhatia a lot this week. He won Arnold Palmer. He could play against the big boys like that. That's another tough course. He tends to gain a lot of strokes on difficult courses. I like Bhatia at $7,400. He's in that lineup, and I have Smalley in that lineup. So Smalley, Xander, Rye, McNeely, Griffin, Bhatia. That's my game theory lineup, where I would expect the total ownership to be under 70%, right? And with guys that I think will be overlooked, who could definitely have some upside this week. Other guys in this 7K range, I think I might go back to Shane Lowry. He hasn't been playing very well, but he plays well at this course. And at this price, at $7,600, I think I can take. I might want to take a risk using him. I like Gary Woodland a lot. He's 11th in my model. Again, of course, we talked about him in the betting segment. Off the tee, solid. Iron game has been very, very good. So he's had a 5th place finish here in the past. I think at least a top 10 here in the past. I like Gary. I'll go back to Wyndham Clark at 7,300. The big thing about Wyndham is, a lot of the times where Wyndham has his troubles is he gets a little bit wild off the tee. In the last 24 rounds, he's 16th in driving accuracy in this field. If he can continue to hit the fairways, again, that win should give him a little bit of confidence. You saw him go on a nice little run when he sort of won out of the blue that year he won the U.S. Open, right? So he gets on a little bit of a run, he gets on a little bit of a heater and stays on it. I'll go back to Wyndham Clark at that price. Maybe a little Keegan Bradley at 7,000 flat. Again, we've seen him have like a spike round or two, like almost every event he plays. It's just he can't pull it together for 4 rounds. He's played well at this course in the past. I'll give Keegan a look.
Yeah, when it comes to total driving, he's one of those guys that's just surprisingly long for as accurate as he drives the golf ball. So that's kind of a perfect combination for this golf course. I love that. Got a 7th place here last year, Keegan Bradley does, and a 19th at the Truist 3 starts ago. So moving in the right direction for sure. Gary Woodland is a complete misprice, in my opinion, down here. 16th in the model, $7,300. You're whipping up, nonstop finishes inside the top 40 ever since you mentioned you got PTSD. Your only miscut was the PGA Championship, which is a driver accuracy, like super driver accuracy, wedge venue. This is a totally different situation. A bit more driver accuracy too, but longer irons. Gary Woodland with the freaking 4-iron in his hand is coming from 230, So I'm all in on Gary Woodland here this week as well. Some Pearson Coody is actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's got really excited to see his name again. Not in this price range. Jordan Spieth, I'll take him on here at $7,900. I'm going to monitor the ownership. Like we said, you ride the Jordan Spieth roller coaster all on your own. You don't want other people throw up on you. You don't want Spieth throw up on you. You want Jordan and you honeymooning it through you. I mean, we're taking a look at what he's been up to. He's just been super consistent. This golf course, we've got a 5th and a 7th in his last 3 starts. So, there are opportunities for him to find some top end. We haven't had a top 10 finish here in the last 10 starts. We've got 2 top 7s here in the last 3 for him at this venue. So there's a good chance he could break through given the consistency of his game right now. He's grading out fantastic for me. Sepp Straka is going to be interesting, Kenny, at $7,700. He could easily be the highest owned option down here, given this course history, given how he models out.
The one thing about Straka that could be negatively impacting him is he is coming from Austria. He played his home country event last year. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But if you're looking for something negative, other than ownership, for Straka, that could be it.
Well, if you're looking for something negative, I think going home is a positive because you're going home. It's not like he flew to China or wherever, like he went to Austria. So, I mean, you could feel emotionally recharged. But at the same time, this is Sepp Straka's last couple starts. Miscut 41st, 42nd, 4th at the Cadillac, 63rd miscut. Like, he has not been playing well. I think
13th last week. I think he had a top 15.
Yeah, at the Austrian, so be it. I think you could potentially leave him out of your lineups if you want to take a massive stance. I think we could see him going 15, 20%, man. With how this is going with him, yeah. And he's not necessarily giving you the best form coming in. So I like taking the high upside shot in the outright market and the top fives and the placements, and then potentially just leaving him alone in DFS because looks like there's a better chance that he finishes outside the top 40 or top 30 this week than he does better than 16th, like he's had the last 3 times he's played here. So I don't know. It's a course history versus form situation. You got to decide. I think the ownership will likely make our decision for us there. Shane Lowry, Kenny, dude, he has just done nothing since the Cognizant. He's lost his groove. What's that movie, The Emperor's New Groove? I think Shane Lowry needs to start a new one and how he lost his groove in Florida. But whatever it is, I think I'm out. I just can't do it with him, despite wanting to. I've been riding his top 20s nonstop this year, and then it's just been bad. So I'm out on him. Harris English, though, is somebody that I'm interested in. He has a 12th place finish here last year, and if you take a look at his form coming into the event, playing well at the Truist, playing well at the PGA, RBC Heritage, difficult golf courses where Harris English thrives, and that 12th place finish here last year is going to really help. Putts while on bent as well. So give me Harris English at $7,900. Let's move here. Just skipping over Jacob Bridgman, we had one of the craziest West Coast swings of our generation, so to speak, and just is a nothing burger now since winning the Genesis and beating Rory when I had him for an outright there. So in the $6,000 range, Kenny Kim, where are we going with names like Christopher Wright and your boy Nick Taylor, my boy Pearson Cootie, Alex Fitzpatrick at $6,700? Some names to contemplate as Kenny Kim lets you know where he's going.
Yeah, my final cash game cornerstone is going to be Nick Taylor. Again, another one of my bets, and that tends to happen pretty often. Top 10 in wins the last 4 years on the PGA Tour. 4th place finish here last year. Gains almost 2 strokes on the field on very difficult courses throughout his career. Bent is his favorite surface. So give me Nick Taylor as my final cash game cornerstone. So my cash game cornerstones for this week are going to be Ludwig Åberg at 10,100, Matthew Fitzpatrick at 9,600, Hideki Matsuyama at 8,700, Nick Taylor at 6,800. Right now I have Bhatia and Woodland as my final 2 spots in that lineup. Again, the cash lineup's sort of been crushing, been giving it out every week here recently. So let's see if we can keep that roll going.
Let's go. I am.
Yeah, other guys that I will be looking at, Ryan Gerard with a good finish last week. He does a lot of his stuff with the putter, but so be it. When you're down here, you're not going to get the best numbers and stats you're not going to get the elite ball strikers. Sometimes you just gotta play what they got. And Gerard's short game putting is normally been pretty good. Let's see, and his iron game has just been his iron game is very good. His putting has been well above average. It's been off the tee. It's been a little bit of a struggle for Mr. Gerard, but I'll go back to him. Alex Fitzpatrick seems like an easy click, right? With the way that he's been playing, pretty easy click for Alex Fitzpatrick. Andrew Novak still, I liked him a lot last week. He disappointed, but he had a good finish here last year. He grades out as the second best golfer in my model in the 6K range, behind make that the third best, behind Fitzpatrick and Eric Cole, and then it's Novak and Nick Taylor, basically, who I have in my model. Who do you like in the 6K range? Oh, Mike Kim. Give me another Mike Kim.
In Showdown. Play Mike Kim in Showdown, baby. He's a cheat code, but the ownership is starting to like randomly just show up on my game after bad rounds, just because people know this. But still, it's still around about 10-ish%. And this kind of a field, maybe it'll be significantly lower given the price tag he's at $6,300. I am in the mood for Alex Fitzpatrick in a big way, Kenny. 13th in my model, and it makes sense because we are looking at a venue that has 13 shots from 150 to 200 and beyond. Alex Fitzpatrick's best finishes this year came at the Cadillac and the Truist. Those are two golf courses that almost combine for 1,300 yards, 1,500 yards, 7,500-yard golf courses, massive, massive ballparks. He drives the ball fantastic around those golf courses. He hits a lot of fairways, and he's exceptionally good from 200 plus. So being in the fairway from 200 plus is going to be how Alex Fitzpatrick finishes inside the top 10 in yet another signature event this year. It'll be his third, and there's a good chance he beats his brother, man. This guy is playing some good golf right now. The PGA Championship 75th place finish, not a wedge guy. There's lots of wedges at that golf course. Also, his first major after a ridiculous run. There's something cooking here for Alex Fitzpatrick. I think there's going to be good things coming for him at $6,700. Sungjae Im is somebody that if you're looking from a course history aspect and some 4th, 5th, and 9th in his last 10 starts, there's also everything else there is 42nd or worse. So that's what you're getting from Sungjae Im. You're likely going to get a spike week or a bomb. He's also finished 10th, 8th, and 16th here in 3 of his last 4 starts, Sungjae Im, for $6,500, right? So he's showing you some form, showing you some course history. This price is affordable. I'm in on Sungjae Im. Ryan Fox is grading out quite nicely at $6,500. He's got a 20th and a 30th here in the past. He's been just rattling off top 30s, top 40s this year. I mentioned Pearson Coody in the 7K section already. I love him at $6,900. You're looking for good drivers of the golf ball. He's got a 19th and a 22nd. Fuck, man. That 22nd, I had him at 1 unit on him at plus 193 for a top 20. If he finishes one straight bet, I have a 2.9, basically a 3-unit swing with the top 20. I could have had a massive week. I won 6 units on Russ. I could have won 2 on Pearson Coody top 20 last week, Yep. So just missed out. But it is what it is. We cashed him the previous week, T19. So maybe a T30 on Coody is the way to go now. We'll see going forward. Nick Taylor, like you mentioned, like him a lot. And I think Brian Harmon is starting to do some randomly good stuff here and there. If you're looking for someone that just hits fairways nonstop, he's someone I'm probably going to throw in randomly. Okay, that's the DFS Blood, Sweat, and Tears for this week's Memorial Tournament. Let's dive into some one-and-dones for this week. I have been pocketing Scotty Scheffler from the very beginning for this event. This is my week for him. So off we go. It's the week, man. He hasn't had that win. No one was on him at the Amex. I think it could be chalky-ish. But again, the later you play Scheffler in the year, people have burnt him. They wanted to play him at the Masters. They want to play him at the tournaments that they're playing him at. He's the best option available every single time. If you wait 6 months, you maybe get some ownership discount on Scotty Scheffler at a venue like this. So we'll see. It just makes too much sense for me. So
yeah, I'm following with Scheffler this week.
Okay. Your international?
I don't know, man. I haven't really looked. I'm looking at the field, and I feel like I've used everybody. I have to look deep into the thing. Like it's not a great look. Like looking at the internationals this week, like I'm pretty sure I've used Fitz. I'm pretty sure I've used Oberg. I might have Rory left.
At this course is super interesting too.
I don't know if
that's a leverage play for sure.
I think I had Tommy left. Bobby Mack's gone. Decky's gone. Adam Scott's gone.
But these are all because you have to play internationals.
Nikolai's gone. Sepp's gone. I might have Lowry. Day's gone. Jason Day's gone.
Okay. Anyway, shouting out my guy in my Discord, Chad Candles, and just not in my. He is in my Discord. He also has his own YouTube channel where he does NFL stuff, and he's part of the So You Think You Can Tout with Pete Overset and all of that stuff. Fantastic guest. He's sitting 7th in the Mayo Cup. He just waxed Henley last week in the one and done, and he's now 7th. And that's his one lineup. The other lineup is he had a Decky in that one. He's sitting 25th. Got his 2 lineups sitting 6th and 25th in the Mayo. 7th place, is paying out $25K to Chad Candle. So he could be having himself a banner year this year. Shout out Chad. Great follow if you're looking into NFL. And was chatting to him. He said he might bring up, you might start doing golf stuff since he's going to take down like $1 million in the Mayo one and done. So anyway, that is it from me in the Discord, Model Maniac Discord. Jump on that over there. Use code FGD26 for 50% off your first month or your first year in the Model Maniac Discord and Patreon. The annual package includes the Dog Dominator, which is a $50 product that people, obviously, we had Hot Soup using that stuff, information last year to win the 50K. So we are a Dog Dominator friendly Discord over here. Check that out. All the stuff you saw on your screens is available to you weekly, showdown, all of that stuff. Check it out. Make sure you're using code FGD when you're signing up at DraftKings as well as a first-time depositor. As we've said, the best numbers on Ben Griffin and Sip are out there on DraftKings this week for me. So I'll be looking there. Kenny Kim, get us the hell out of here after I tell people that I am the Model Maniac on X.
Yeah, find me on X at KendoVT. My final betting card will be there. Any live bets, any adjustments to any of my plays, DFS-wise. So make sure you follow at KendoVT. We're going back to Jack's place. It should be a fun week. Great field. Let's win some motherfucking money, DGen Nation.